Good morning. I spent the last 24 years as a dentist and dental educator. And during that time, I gave hundreds of hours of lectures, speaking, but for some reason, doing live on Facebook or YouTube is just so scary to me. Anyway, I guess it's a different platform, a different way of doing things. So, but I do know that I'm here to teach and to share, and this is a great platform to be able to do that. So we'll see if the connection works well enough for what we're doing today. So I'd like to talk a little bit about my story, my spiritual journey, and then about Reiki and the life force energy with Reiki and what that has meant to me and what it means. And then end with a meditation that clears the chakras, which are the energy centers that we all have. So there are many things that we could talk about, but I would like to start with very basics. So in my life, I was teaching full-time at Loma Linda University as a dental educator. And I really enjoyed my job, my career. Things were moving forward. I really enjoyed my time there in Southern California. Enjoyed living near the ocean. At that time, if you had asked me about my spirituality, I would have said that I was not spiritual. I've been raised in very strict religions, and that is something that I continue to work on releasing, all the little things that held me down, held me back. And so here I am, several years later. So I moved to Albuquerque in New Mexico from California in 2016. I'm really glad that I was able to move here. It has been a wonderful experience. When I first moved here, I bought a dental practice, and for several years, from 2016 to 2020, I was running a dental practice, and certainly that's kind of at the next level. I had watched my dad do it, and it looked easy for him, so I thought, oh, this is going to be easy, and it really wasn't. Hi, Priscilla, so good to see you. Thank you for coming on and saying hi. So I wanted to first talk a little bit about my story, and then about Reiki itself and what it is, and then end with a meditation that clears the energy centers, the chakras. So with my story, after I moved here and I bought a practice and was working on running it, and there's always a lot of decisions you make, and sometimes the decisions end up being the ones that work well, and sometimes they're not. And in this case, many of my decisions were not working well from a business perspective. So in 2020, when the pandemic hit, they closed the dental clinics for 3 months, and during that time, my staff all decided to quit and go on unemployment. because unemployment was so much more money than they were making, even as my staff. And so once they had all quit, I was like, do I start again? Do I hire new people during the pandemic? Do I try to make this work? And I decided it's time to leave dentistry and to say goodbye. Well, right during that time, I was feeling super depressed and anxious. In fact, the medications weren't working that I was taking. And I was also going to therapy. So the therapy and the medications weren't enough. I was still very depressed and very anxious. And I think I was feeling a lot of the energies of my patients. A lot of them were very nervous and anxious at that time. So one of my patients that was really happy with the work that I had done for her, she was like, I am a Reiki master and I would love to help you. Well, I knew nothing about all of that. I was, like I said, I would have considered myself not spiritual and not into very much Eastern medicine kind of things or anything like that. I was a very typical, straightforward dentist, raised and taught here in the U.S. So here we are, going through our life, and this lady started coming to my office every week and treating me with Reiki. She would bring her table, set it up in the office after the clients, and treat me once a week. And after a little while, we started going to her home where she had her table set up and everything. We would talk for like a half an hour, and then she'd treat me for 1 to 2 hours based on the need. She spent a lot of time putting the energy into my head, which really helped to heal my brain and to heal how I was looking at life and heal that depression and anxiety. It was really an amazing experience. She helped me to see all of my life more clearly, to help me see that I was ready to leave dentistry, that I was ready to get a divorce, to walk away from a lot of things in my life that just weren't meant to be. And I remember at that time, I have a calendar that I always have in my house every year. It's from Mary Inglebright. And this time it said, sometimes we can't accept the things that we can't change. Instead, we change the things we can't accept. So it was kind of like the opposite of, accept the things we can't change and change the things we can and know the difference. It's kind of the opposite of that saying. It was like, go ahead and change the things you can't accept. And I couldn't accept the way I was doing dentistry. I couldn't accept the way I was running my marriage. I couldn't accept the way I was dealing with my kids, and that everything could change and would change. And so that was the beginning for me. It has brought me to learning many modalities, a heart-centered energy healing is what I do, which is kind of a combination of Reiki and Theta healing. Now later I'll talk about Theta healing, but this time I wanted to talk just about Reiki. So when I was attuned, I was looking at my certificates, and I was attuned back in July of 2020. So it was right away. It was like during the pandemic, during all that change in the world, that my life changed. And the lady who trained me in Reiki, she gave me this book and did a little talk about it. So it's a Japanese word, and the Japanese word is universal life force. So the Rei part means universal, and the Ki means the life energy, as you know, like Ki. And so Rei, Ki, universal life force energy. So if you think about it, Reiki itself, the newest version of it, has been around only about 100 years. So the guy that started working with Reiki had a clinic in 1922 in Japan. And that's kind of where this modern Reiki, universal life force energy, started. But if we go back, really, the stories around creation, of like the story in the Bible is that God created Adam and he breathed into him the breath of life. He breathed into him the Reiki, the universal life force energy. So Reiki itself has been in humanity since the beginning of time. So it has always been here. And when you are attuned with Reiki, you'll feel the energy coming through your hands and the hot energy. So you only have to place your hands on yourself or someone else, and you have that energy flow. And it's an amazing experience to be attuned and to have the Reiki energy. We could talk about all of the specifics about it, but what I wanted to talk about the possible histories, because it's kind of interesting. So there are two different potential histories that have been talked about. So both of them, though, involve the same person. I don't know how to pronounce this. Makeo Usui. And so actually the person who attuned me was 13th in line from Usui, and so I'm 14th in line from Usui. So if there's anyone that I attune, they would be 15th in line from Usui. So that's actually pretty close to the original source. And so he's the one that had his own clinics, the Reiki clinics, in 1922 in Japan. And then there was a lady from the US that was treated in Japan. She was healed. So she didn't have to do the surgeries that she thought she was going to have to do. Instead, she was healed through Reiki, and she brought it to the US. And that's how it came to the US. So one of the stories is that Usui was a Buddhist the whole time, and that, from a very young age, from about 4, he started with his Buddhist training, and he was trained all the way through time as a Buddhist. And then at one point he was studying so much, and he was attuned. The energy came into his crown. The energy of Reiki came into him. And so then he had it. The other story is that Usui is actually a Christian who was teaching. And while he was a Christian teaching, some of his students asked him, how did Jesus heal? And so he started going on a quest, and for 10 years. And the last thing he did was for 3 weeks he fasted up on a mountain. And during that time, Reiki was brought down into his third eye. So those are kind of the two different stories. And this guy who was the Christian also spent quite a bit of time studying with Buddhist monks and learned about the healing that they talked about. But they didn't know how the healing was done. They just knew the healing was possible, but he was able to be activated with the universal life force energy. So those are a couple of different stories. I think it's interesting that there isn't a particular story, and maybe the reason why is because it really is a modality that has always been here and always been a part of our lives, and that while there is a modern version of Reiki, it's something that has always been here. And certainly you are able to have your hands activated without having a Reiki attunement. So you're able to place your hands upon people and have their healing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So I would like to do these lives, and we'll talk more about my story and more about Reiki and theta healing over time as I do these different lives. So this time I wanted to talk about the history, and that it's not religious. So it doesn't matter what religion you are part of or whether you're spiritual or not. It has nothing to do with any of that. I mean, it does tend to open you up spiritually, but that is not the purpose. The purpose is like taking a pill. So if you take a pill because you're depressed, or you could take Reiki as your energy treatment. So the biggest thing with the universal life force is that it flows through your entire system. So connecting with the concept of flow. So if you allow the energy to flow through you, that means that you don't have any blocks. If you have blocks, that's where the diseases will come, because there's a block of the energy. The other aspect is you could think of yourself in a river, just floating down the river, and you could think of flow in that way. So it might be easier for you to visualize flow as flowing through you and the unconditional love flowing through you. Or it might be easier for you to visualize yourself flowing through a river. So either way, you're learning how to connect with flow. So as we go into our energy healing, where we are connecting with the energy of Reiki and theta healing, I like to call it heart-centered healing. As we connect with that and we allow the flow to happen, as we begin to clear each one of the chakras, and have the flow be able to go from source down through to the earth, to Terra or Mother Gaia. So as that flow happens through us, that's the life force energy, the universal life force that's flowing. Okay, so let's get started with the session. I will close my eyes so I can feel the energy inside of me. So as we start, we breathe in deeply into our heart space and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. As we breathe in and out of the heart, we think of our heart as a place where there's a chair, a command chair, and our entire being dissolves into our heart as we breathe in and out. Connect with all that is. We connect with everything and nothing at the same time. With the beautiful life force, the universal life force energy flowing into our heart. We reach down the energy into the center of Mother Gaia, the earth. We reach down to the earth's heart. We connect with the energy of the earth. We pull the energy of the earth up into our being, up through our toes and our feet, our legs and our knees, our pelvis, and into the base energy center, the chakra, the base chakra, the root, the stability and support. It's red, and this beautiful red energy, the spinning and flowing. Allow, as it spins and as the energy comes up into the base, allow anything in that base that no longer serves us, the things that bring our anxiety and our doubts, our fears, our insecurities, have them flow away and be removed from the system so that we have a clear transport of energy through the base up into the sacral. The sacral is spinning orange. You feel the beautiful orange, the energy coming up into the sacral energy center. It's the strongest energy center in our body. 30% of our energy is stored in the sacral. Our passion and our pleasure, our creativity, and our intimacy come into play in the sacral. Allow all the things that have damaged us in our creativity, damaged us in our intimacy, to be removed. Flowing up into the solar plexus, the beautiful yellow, spinning with energy. Allow the yellow to remove anything that's keeping us from feeling our true power, calling all our power back from all times and dimensions, lifehoods, bringing back our power, our self-support, letting all those things that no longer serve our personal energy to flow away. Moving the energy up into our hearts. Allowing the energy of the earth to flow into the heart. This green, beautiful energy system spinning anything away that keeps us from truly loving ourselves unconditionally. Feeling that love pulsating through our system. Letting the heart expand and grow around us as a protection. Love is our protection. Moving the energy up into the throat, allowing the throat to be cleansed and cleared. Moving the energy of the throat, the beautiful blue, cobalt blue. Releasing all the things that we should have said, things that we shouldn't have said. Releasing the shoulds. Releasing the tries and embracing the beings and the do's and the knowings. Knowing what's meant for us. Expressing our authenticity. Bringing the energy of the earth up through the base, the sacral, the solar, through the heart, the throat chakra, moving up into the third eye. Pulsating indigo energy, releasing our pineal gland, our third eye area. What is no longer serving us, what's in the way of us truly seeing what's meant for us, moving away the cobwebs, allowing the life force energy to flow up through our system, through our third eye, up into our crown. The crown opens and expands like a beautiful flower, releasing the energy, releasing the things that are keeping us, that are blocking us from receiving that beautiful energy from the heavens. Now that our bodies are completely cleansed and cleared all the way through, we connect up to Source, all that is energy, the life force. We allow the beautiful life force to flow through us as a liquid, a lavender liquid flowing through our system, up and down, allowing the flow within, the flow without, as within, so without. Releasing and letting go, allowing this Reiki energy to flow through us and filling every cell of our body with unconditional love. Feeling that joy and that love in every way. Bring your energy into your heart space. Allow it to flow in there, to hold, to support you. Allow that green energy to expand around your entire being for protection, and throughout the week you may be protected and guided. Thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. Thank you for joining me in cleansing and clearing. Truly wonderful experience. And I look forward to seeing you next week to talk more about life's journey and the energy around us. Thank you.